Hello and welcome to the second part of the Wartime Guides activity. Unfortunately, because the camera is taking up too much memory, we're having to split it into two to get it in without using Dropbox. So as you can see, I am dressed up as a guide leader from the 1930s and 40s as a retro uniform. And I've also got Molly the meerkat here, the Rangers mascot, who is dressed in, apart from the beret, because that was a 1950s change, she would have been wearing a hat like mine during the 30s and 40s. Her uniform is very similar to what the guides would have worn then. And as you can see, it's much smarter and more of a military style than the casual uniform you wear today. So I just want to quickly read you some information about what the guides actually did during the Second World War. Do you realise how amazing guides were during the World Wars? Part of being a guide is about spotting where help is needed and stepping in. In the Second World War, guides organised themselves with pretty much no adult help and put themselves in uncomfortable positions in order to serve others. Some jobs saved lives, like fire watching and transporting patients by stretcher. Others improved lives, like making aid parcels for soldiers and teaching refugees in this country English. Guides were responsible for raising large amounts of money to support the war effort. In 1 week in 1940, they raised over £300,000 in today's money for air ambulance planes to evacuate injured soldiers from the battlefront to hospital. And one of the things that I discovered from a very interesting book called How the Girl Guides Won the War by Janie Hampton was that guides aged 16 above and rangers were some of the first people into one of the awful concentration camps called Belsen in occupied Europe as the Allies. Basically they were members of the GIS, which was the Guides International Service, formed in 1942, and they travelled behind the armies as they landed after D-Day, and they helped children they found there, orphans and refugees, gave them food, gave them shelter and kept them company. And I say they were some of the first people into Bergen-Belsen, which I think for that age group of young women, some of them not much older than yourselves, was a very wonderful thing to do. So I think however you're celebrating VE Day on Friday with your families, it might be just nice to think about all those guides that went before us and some of the amazing things they did to help the UK war effort, both at home and abroad, to help others, and hope that we could do the same thing again today if needed. So I hope you enjoy the previous three activities I mentioned and have learnt a little bit more about what the guides did during the Second World War. Okay, good night guides.